low heart rate training? Can it help me, a pretty average runner, become a faster runner and break 40 minutes in a 10K? I'm about to find out, as I'll be spending the next 6 months running real slow, and you're coming with me. Each week I will be documenting the process and sharing the result of my weekly test run, which I will tell you more about in just a minute. My current PB in the 10K is 43 minutes and 37 seconds. However, I just signed up for a 10K race 18 weeks or 4 months from now. Unfortunately, those 4 months are the absolute coldest and darkest months of the year here in Denmark, so that's not going to make the training any easier. I've been running 3 to 5 times a week pretty consistently for 3 years now, with a mix of short runs, long runs, speed work, intervals, hill sprints and so on. But I've never really paid attention to my heart rate while running. That was until I picked up this book by my new best friend Phil Maffetone, in which he explains how low heart rate training can help you run faster for longer. Through this book and his work with elite athletes, Phil Maffetone popularized the MAF method. MAF or MAF is the type of low heart rate training that I will be attempting, which, as far as I know, is a little bit higher than zone 2 training, but still pretty low, especially when you're as old as I am. Let me explain. To calculate your MAF heart rate zone, you use the simple formula of 180 minus your age. Now, as a recovering millennial, I'm not ready to talk about my age, but just know that in my case, my maximum heart rate during training shouldn't exceed 148 and shouldn't be lower than 10 beats under 148 either. So I'll be aiming to run with a heart rate of at least 138 and a maximum of 148 for each of my training sessions. One of the most useful tools for low heart rate training is obviously going to be a heart rate monitor, so that's what I went out and got. Now, I do own a running watch with a built-in heart rate monitor. However, as far as I understand, a heart rate monitor that's strapped across your chest is going to be more precise than one on your wrist. But that's also something I plan on testing at some point in this series. Speaking of tests, each week I will be running a so-called MAF test of 8 kilometers/5 miles. The goal of the test is to keep track of what pace I can maintain while staying at or just below a heart rate of 148. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to run faster and faster throughout the next 6 months while putting in the same effort, but that's what we're about to find out. Therefore, the first order of business is to strap on the heart rate monitor and run my first MAF test in order to find our baseline. I'm warmed up, strapped in, got the loaded, time for the first MAF test. I'll catch you on the other side. And that's the first MAF test in the books, with what looks to be an average pace of 6 minutes and 17 seconds per kilometer, which is probably around what I expected. 6 minutes and 18 seconds per kilometer. That's the number I hope to see drop lower and lower throughout this experiment. And with this initial baseline test out of the way, it's time to head into my first week of low heart rate training. So, some people refer to low heart rate training as... Ironically, what I'm trying to tell you here is that the pace you should aim for in low heart rate training is sometimes referred to as conversational pace, but the sound quality of this clip is way too shitty for you to hear what I'm saying, which is pretty important when you're trying to have a conversation. Anyway, I kicked the week off with this short morning run of 6 kilometers to get the ball rolling. I don't usually run in the morning, but I had trouble sleeping, so I figured I might as well get up and get going. I won't be sharing the pace and heart rate of each split, as it won't really make any sense since I'm constantly switching between running up and downhill, stopping for red at intersections and so on. Good afternoon, today is Tuesday and I'm about to head out for 10Ks of low heart rate training. The weather is a bit warmer today, so it might be my last chance to run in shorts this year. However, It's still pitch black outside already, so I've put on some of my most reflective gear in an attempt to not get hit by a car or bike, as that would probably be pretty bad for my heart rate. I don't know exactly how long this run ended up being, as my watch died while I was mucking around and failing miserably at capturing a thumbnail photo for this video. So you're just gonna have to believe me when I say that this was closer to 10k than 9k, which I would find pretty believable, because what kind of psycho ends a run at 0.99 kilometers on purpose? What's up? It's a late one and a really short one tonight. Today has been crazy busy at work, and after work I went out and bought a new snowboard, bindings and boots for a short trip I have coming up. And according to my watch, my stress levels are through the roof. It definitely shows on my heart rate on this run tonight, but we're out here and we're getting it done. Fuck these uphills. Friday night, 8k, almost 9k in about an hour or so. It's cold and windy, but we're getting it done. I'm about to head out on my first math test after a full week of math training. The legs are feeling pretty heavy, but let's see how it goes. Six minutes and 21 seconds per kilometer, with that mildly underwhelming result of a 3-second regression since my baseline test a week ago. My first week of math training comes to an end. I'm not really disappointed or surprised about this result. There are lots of factors in play here other than just the math training itself. Sleep, mental stress and nutrition is also going to play a big role, and this week has been far from great in terms of those things. Speaking of nutrition, there is actually one thing left to do before closing out this week, and that's celebrating another math test in the books with some post-run pastry. Phil Maffetone actually advises against running a math test too often, but I'm way too curious not to do it, and I think it's a fun way to end these weekly videos. So I hope I'll be able to cope and not stress too much about the result from week to week. After all, I'm in this for the long run. So I'll try to treat it just as another run, which I so happen to track pretty closely. The idea behind this method is to slowly increase the total mileage each week without stressing your body by running real slow. So that's what I will be doing. My goal is to add 5 to 10% week over week. That adds up pretty quickly, which is why I'm starting out quite conservatively here in terms of mileage. I do plan on implementing at least one session of speed work each week, such as a tempo run or intervals leading up to my first 10k race in 17 weeks now, but I won't do so for the first 8 to 12 weeks. That's going to be strictly low heart rate sessions with the goal of building a strong base.